Hello friends, our today's chapter is microorganisms, friends and foe. In this chapter, we are going to learn classification of microorganisms, useful microorganisms, harmful microorganisms, disease causing microorganisms in human being, disease causing microorganisms in plants, disease in animals, food preservation method, food poisoning and nitrogen cycle. Let's see classification of microorganisms.
You have seen different kinds of animals and plants around us. Most of them are familiar to us. We see them with naked eyes. So these are the animals and plants around us. We can see them easily with naked eyes. But another type of living organisms around us which we normally cannot see them with naked eyes. To see them, we need microscope. Using microscope, we can see them because they are very small in size. This type of organisms are called microorganisms or microbes. So some organisms we can see with naked eyes and some organisms, to observe them, compound microscope or electron microscope is required to observe them. Fungus, this is the familiar example. You can easily observe during rainy season. Moist bread gets spoiled and its surface gets covered with a greyish white patches. This is the moist bread. In moist condition, fungus easily grow on organic compound like bread and other dead and decaying matter of living organisms. So fungus easily grow on moist surface. It is a greyish in color. So this bread is covered with greyish white patches. This is a familiar example of fungus. Name of this fungus is the mucor.
See this activity. Collect some moist soil from the field in a beaker and add water into it. After the soil particles have settled down, take a drop of water on glass slide from beaker. Observe under a compound microscope. What do you observe? Observations are, we observe different small microorganisms. They are in different shape and different size. So, microorganisms are very small in size. They found in water, they found in air, they found in soil. So, to observe these microorganisms, we have to use microscope, compound microscope or electron microscope.
Classification of microorganisms. Mainly, microorganisms are classified into 5 groups. These are bacteria, viruses, algae, fungi and protozoa. These are the 5 groups of microorganisms. Mainly microorganisms are classified into 5 groups. Bacteria, viruses, algae, fungi and protozoa. Bacteria. Bacteria are the simplest of all living beings. It is very simple in structure. Bacteria are found in 3 different shapes. These are rod shaped, spherical shaped and comma shaped. So these are the 3 different type of bacteria on the base of their shape. Rod shaped, spherical shaped and comma shaped. Some bacteria are useful and some are harmful. Useful bacteria are used in making food items like curd, medicine, vaccine, in agricultural activities. These are the useful bacteria. Example of these bacteria are lactobacillus, rhizobium, azotobacter. These are useful bacteria. Harmful bacteria causes different type of diseases like typhoid, tuberculosis, generally it is known as a TB, dysentery, malaria, etc. This type of disease caused by harmful bacteria. Viruses. The word virus means poisonous liquid. Viruses are the smallest microorganisms, only be studied under an electron microscope. They cannot be observed by compound microscope because viruses are very small inside. They live, grow, reproduce only inside living cells of plants and animals. They do not grow in air, they do not grow in water. They can grow only in the living cells of plants and animals. Examples of viruses are poliovirus, HIV virus, influenza virus. So these are the examples of viruses. Algae. Algae are simple plant-like organisms. Some are unicellular and microscopic, while others are multicellular. Generally, algae are found in water. They are green in color, so they make their own food. Examples of algae are Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra, Volvox. These are the examples of algae. Fungi. Fungi are non-green plants. It means they do not have chlorophyll, so they do not make their own food. So these are heterotrophs. These are saprophytes and some are parasites. Fungus are unicellular like yeast and multicellular like mushroom. Examples of fungus, that is penicillium, mucor, aspergillus, mushroom and yeast. These are the examples of fungus. Protozoa. Protozoa means first animal developed on Earth's surface. Protozoa are saprophytes or parasites. Euglena is an autotroph. It has a chlorophyll. It means it can make its own food by photosynthesis process. But other examples of protozoa are saprophytes or parasites. Examples of protozoa are amoeba, euglena, paramecium. These are the examples of protozoa. Where do microorganisms live? They live in all type of environment, that is ranging from cold climate to hot springs. It means they found in cold condition as well as in hot conditions. They are also found in animal bodies including humans. So they can found in animal bodies, they found in cold conditions, they found in hot conditions, they found in water, they found in air. So microorganisms are found in all type of environment. Microorganisms are mainly divided into two groups: useful microorganisms and harmful microorganisms. Let's see useful microorganisms. First use of microorganism, making curd. Lactobacillus bacteria help to make curd from milk. It multiplies in milk and convert milk into curd. Cheese, paneer are also made by action of bacteria on milk. So lactobacillus bacteria help for making curd, for making cheese, paneer. That type of milk products are made by using lactobacillus bacteria. This is the action of lactobacillus bacteria on milk for the formation of curd, cheese, paneer, etc. This type of the milk products. Making bread. This is the example of fungus, yeast. Yeast cells are used in baking industries for making bread, cake and pastries. Yeast is also helpful for fermentation of rice for making idlis and dosa batters. Yeast reproduce rapidly and produce carbon dioxide during respiration. These bubbles of carbon dioxide gas fills the dough and increase its volume. Due to this, bread becomes spongy. So bread becomes spongy due to the presence of carbon dioxide. Yeast is also used in making of alcohol, wines, beer and vinegar. Yeast is used in commercial production of alcohol, wine, beer, acetic acid, etc. Acetic acid is also known as a vinegar. For this purpose, yeast is grown on natural sugar present in grains like barley, wheat, rice and crushed fruit juices. So this food item contain natural sugar, and this natural sugar is used to convert into alcohol. Due to action of microbes, yeast sugar convert into alcohol. This process is called fermentation process. So in fermentation process, the natural sugar present in the food is converted into the alcohol. This process is called fermentation process. Louis Pasteur, he was the first scientist, discovered the process of fermentation in 1857. Microorganisms are also used in making medicines. So medicinal use of microorganisms. Production of antibiotics. The medicines produced by living organisms such as bacteria and fungi, which kill or stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms present in our body, are called antibiotics. So antibiotics means they stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms. The source of these antibiotic medicines are microorganisms. This day, number of antibiotics produced from bacteria and fungi, these are streptomycin, tetracycline, erythromycin. These are some examples of antibiotics. Antibiotics are even mixed with the feed of livestock and poultry to check microbial infections in animals. Antibiotics are also used to control many plant diseases. So antibiotics are used to control disease in animals and disease in plants also. Precautions should be taken while using antibiotics. Antibiotics should be taken only on the advice of doctor. We must complete the entire course of antibiotics prescribed by doctor. This completely destroys the disease causing microorganisms in our body. We may fall ill again if we do not complete this course. So we have to complete this course prescribed by doctor. Don't take incomplete course. Otherwise you will infect again by these microorganisms. We should not take antibiotics when not needed or in wrong dose. Take as per advice of doctor. Don't take wrong dose. It may make the antibiotic drugs less effective when we might really need it in the future. Antibiotics taken unnecessarily may kill beneficial bacteria in our body. Antibiotics should not be taken when we are suffering from cold and flu caused by virus. So these antibiotics are not effective against disease caused by viruses. Microorganisms are also useful for the production of vaccines. What is the immunity? The ability of one's body to resist a disease is known as the immunity. Production of vaccines. Vaccination. Immunity against particular disease can be developed by a technique called as a vaccination. Dead and weakened microbes of a particular disease are introduced in the healthy body. When disease causing microbes enter the body, it is referred to as an antigen. What is antigen? Antigen is an substance that causes your immune system to produce antibodies against it. So, naturally our body activate our immune system when microbes enter in our body. To fight these microbes, our immune system automatically activate. A small dose of dead and weakened disease causing microbes is called as a vaccine. What is meant by vaccine? A small dose of dead and weakened disease causing microorganisms is called vaccine. The healthy body fights and kills the antigen by producing suitable antibodies. So our body produces suitable antibodies when we take vaccine and fight against antigens. When they enter in our body activates our immune system. That is producing suitable antibodies in our body to kill pathogen. Pathogen means disease causing microbes. Antibody remains in the body. When the disease causing microbes enter our body, the antibodies bind the disease causing microbes and kill them. Several diseases like cholera, tuberculosis, smallpox, tetanus, polio, hepatitis B can be prevented by vaccination. So when we take this type of the vaccines, for a longer time our body fight against that type of disease causing microbes. A vaccine can be injected or given orally. A particular vaccine is given at particular age. This is called immunization schedule. Another use of microbes to increase soil fertility. Some bacteria are able to fix nitrogen from atmosphere to enrich soil with nitrogen and increases its fertility. These microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. This is the example of rhizobium. It is found roots of the leguminous plant. They fix nitrogen from atmosphere into the nitrates, and this nitrogen plant take through the roots in their body for the production of food. Rhizobium bacteria absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into nitrogenous compounds called nitrates. After harvesting, when the roots decompose, nitrates present in the root nodules mix with soil and enrich it nitrogenous compound. Automatically, nitrogen level increase, and this increased nitrogen level useful for the next crop. Some bacteria and blue-green algae living in soil and fix atmospheric nitrogen in nitrates. The example of this other bacteria is Azotobacter. It grows in soil and fix atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into nitrates. These microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. Cleaning the environment. We see large amount of dead organic matter in the form of decaying plant and sometimes dead and decaying animals on the ground. We find that they disappear after some time. This because the microorganisms decomposes dead organic waste of plant and animals by converting them into harmless simpler substances. In this way, they help to keep the environment clean. So this dead and decaying matter of plants and animals decompose by microorganisms and form a good manure. It is a good fertilizer for the crop. And environment cleaned by these useful microorganisms. They decompose dead and decaying waste material of plant and animals.
Harmful microorganisms. Microorganisms are harmful in many ways. Some of the microorganisms cause disease in human beings, in plants, and in animals. Such disease-causing microorganisms are called pathogen. Pathogen means this microorganism causes different type of disease. Disease-causing microorganisms are known as pathogen. Some microorganisms spoils food, clothing, and leather. So some microorganisms damage food items, clothes, and leather articles. So microorganisms are harmful. They cause different type of diseases in plants, animals, and human beings. They also damage food items, clothes, and leather. So these type of microorganisms, they cause disease, are known as pathogen. Disease causing microorganism in human being. Pathogens enter in our body through different ways. First, pathogens enter in our body through air. Inside the air, there are different types of microorganisms are present. When we breathe, these microorganisms enters in our body. These microorganisms are known as a pathogen. So they enter in our body through air. So microorganisms are present in air. Through breathing process, they enters in our body and causes different type of diseases. Pathogens enters our body through water, contaminated water. This water has some pathogens. When we drink this water, contaminated water, these pathogens enters in human body and causes different type of diseases. Third, food, contaminated food. Pathogens present in the contaminated food, they enter in the human body and causes different type of diseases. Next, pathogens enter in our body through contact. When healthy person come in contact with infected person, then the pathogens are present in the body of infected person, transfers into the healthy person's body. So pathogen enters our body through contact. Microbial diseases that can be spread from an infected person to other healthy person through air, water, food, physical contact or by animals are called communicable disease. Communicable disease means they spread through air, water, food, physical contact and by some animals. These diseases are known as a communicable diseases. Examples are cholera, chickenpox, tuberculosis, corona. These are the communicable disease because they transfer from infected person to healthy person through air, water, food, physical contact or by some animal. These diseases are known as communicable disease. Disease through air we breathe. Microorganisms that causes common cold, tuberculosis, pneumonia, that type of disease can spread through air. So these diseases are known as a airborne disease. They spread through air. For example, when a person suffering from common cold sneezes or coughs, the fine droplets of moisture carrying thousands of viruses are thrown out. A person is suffering from common cold. When he sneezes or coughs, he releases thousands of water drops, and in these water drops, disease causing viruses are present. When healthy person come in contact with infected person, these water droplets are present in air. They enters in the healthy person body and this healthy person body infected by these viruses present in the water droplets. For this reason, we should keep our hand or handkerchief on our mouth and nose while coughing and sneezing. Disease spread through water. Microorganisms that causes cholera, diarrhea, typhoid, this type of disease spread through drinking water, contaminated water. For example, cholera causing microbes enters healthy person's body through water they drink and cause the disease in them. This is a healthy person. This is the contaminated water. When this water drink by a healthy person, these viruses or these microorganisms, pathogens enters in body of healthy person and this person get affected. So after flood, we advise to drink boiled water because many disease causing microorganisms are present in water at that time. Boiling water helps to kill microorganisms in it. So during rainy season, best method drink boiled water to prevent different type of diseases spread through water. Disease spread through food we eat. Microorganisms that present in soil like protozoa, bacteria, spores of fungus. This type of disease spread through contaminated food. Therefore, we should wash the fruits and vegetables after bringing them from market. Cholera, this disease spread through bacteria. Dysentery, this disease spread through protozoa. So these are the examples of disease spread through contaminated food. Therefore, eat fresh, clean and covered food. disease spread through insects and animals. There are some insects and animals which act as a carrier of disease causing microbes. Carrier of disease causing microbes. These microbes are present in the body of insect and animals, and through these insects and animals, these microbes enters in the healthy person body. So these insects and animals are known as a carrier of disease causing microbes. These animals and insects are called vectors. They carry disease causing microorganism. They transfer disease causing microorganism in the healthy person's body. Vectors carry the disease causing microbes from infected person to healthy person. Some of the vectors are housefly. Housefly carries the disease causing microbes on its legs and mouth from feces and other organic waste. When they sit on this organic waste, these microbes attach to their legs and mouth and transfer on the food. So this insect, housefly, is a vector. It transfers disease causing microbes through their legs and mouth. The housefly sit on exposed food or open food, leave these disease causing microbes on that food. This contaminated food causes disease like cholera, typhoid, dysentery and tuberculosis. So best way, always eat covered food. Another insect is cockroaches. Various diseases like cholera, typhoid, dysentery are spread by cockroaches through contaminated food. Similarly, they carry disease causing microbes through their body and transferred on the open uncovered food. So best way, always eat covered food to prevent disease spread by insects.
Mosquito. The female Anopheles mosquito sucks the blood of human beings and transmits plasmodium into human body. Plasmodium is a protozoa, and due to plasmodium microorganism, malaria disease causes in human being. Aedes mosquito act as a carrier of dengue virus. So Aedes mosquito is a carrier for dengue virus. So female Anopheles mosquito carrier of plasmodium. Due to plasmodium it causes malaria disease, and Aedes mosquito act as a carrier of dengue virus. All mosquito breed in water, hence one should not let water collect anywhere in coolers, tires, flower pot, etc. By keeping the surrounding clean and dry, so we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding.
Some common human diseases caused by microorganisms. Human disease, causative microorganisms, mode of transmission and preventive measures. Disease tuberculosis. This disease caused by bacteria. Mode of transmission is air. Another disease, measles, caused by viruses. Mode of transmission, air. Chickenpox, caused by viruses. Mode of transmission through air and contact. Polio, caused by viruses. Mode of transmission through air and contaminated water. Prevention measures. Keep the patient in complete isolation. Isolation is very important because this disease can transfer through the contact with infected person. Keep the personal belongings of the patient away from those of the others. Vaccination to be given at suitable age help to prevent that type of disease spread by bacteria and viruses. Another disease, cholera, caused by microorganism, bacteria. Mode of transmission, contaminated water and contaminated food. Typhoid, caused by bacteria. Mode of transmission, contaminated water. Prevention measure is maintain personal hygiene and good sanitary habit to prevent that type of disease spread by water and contaminated food. and another consume properly cooked food and boiled drinking water. This properly cooked food and boiled drinking water kill microorganisms present in them, so we can avoid spread of this disease through the food and water by proper cooking of food and boiling of water. And vaccination, it helps to prevent that type of disease spread by microorganisms. Hepatitis A caused by microorganism viruses. Mode of transmission is water, and prevention measure, drink boiled water, and another take proper vaccine. Vaccination is very important to prevent hepatitis A spread by viruses. Malaria caused by protozoa and mode of transmission is mosquito. Use mosquito net and repellent. Spray insecticides and control breeding of mosquito by not allowing water to collect in the surrounding. These are some preventive measures to prevent malaria disease by mosquito. Disease causing microorganisms in animals. Several microorganisms not only causes diseases in humans and plants but also in other animals. For example, anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by bacterium. This disease found in animals as well as in human beings. Anthrax, and this disease caused by bacteria. Foot and mouth disease of cattle is caused by viruses. This is another disease found in cattle. Disease causing microorganisms in plants. Several microorganisms causes disease in plants like wheat, rice, potato, sugarcane, orange, apple and others. This disease reduces the yield of crops. Some common plant diseases caused by microorganisms are plant disease, causative microorganism and mode of transmission. First disease in plant is a citrus canker caused by bacteria. Mode of transmission is air. Rust of wheat is another disease caused by fungi and mode of transmission through air and seeds. Yellow vein mosaic of okra transmitted by viruses and mode of transmission is insect. Food poisoning. Sometimes even stored food may get spoiled due to variety of reasons such as improper cooking, food not properly preserved, change in temperature in refrigerated food due to power fluctuation. So due to these different reasons, food can get spoiled, and due to this spoiled food, human beings get food poisoning. Food poisoning could be caused due to consumption of food spoiled by some microorganisms. Microorganisms that grow on our food sometimes produce toxic substances. This makes the food poisonous, causing serious illness and even death. So this food poisoning, it may be caused death. So this food is spoiled due to some microorganisms. They release some toxic substances, and due to these toxic substances it causes serious illness and even death of the human being. So it is very important that we preserve food to prevent it from being spoiled. Food preservation. Most microorganisms cannot grow or multiply when the conditions are dry, when temperature is very low, when temperature is very high. In this condition, microorganism does not grow properly. So these conditions are not favorable for the growth of microorganisms. All methods of preserving food ensure that favorable conditions are not provided for microorganisms to grow and multiply. The process by which spoilage of food is prevented using chemical or physical methods is called food preservation. This is the definition of food preservation. The process by which spoilage of food is prevented using chemical process or physical process is known as a food preservation process. The most common methods used for preservation of food are physical method and chemical methods. Prevention by chemical methods. Food can be prevented by using certain chemical substances which can check the growth of microorganisms. Such chemical substances are called food preservatives. Most preservatives remove oxygen from the food item. This helps in preventing microbial growth because without oxygen, most of the microorganisms does not grow. So these preservatives firstly remove oxygen from the food item and help to preventing microbial growth in the food. We add salt or acid preservative to pickles to prevent the attack of microbes. Sodium benzoate and potassium metabisulfite are common food preservatives. Sodium benzoate is used for preserving fruit juices and spices. So these are the common preservatives we use in different food items. Salt and acids are used for the preservation of pickles. Sodium benzoate and potassium metabisulfite are common food preservatives. Potassium metabisulfite is used for preserving cut fruits, jams, jellies, etc. Common salt. Common salt has been used to preserve meat and fish for ages. Meat and fish are covered with dry salt to check the growth of bacteria. Salting is also used to preserve amla, raw mangoes, tamarind, etc. So this common salt used for the preserving of meat and fish for longer time. It is also used in preserving of different fruits like amla, raw mangoes and tamarinds. Preservation by sugar. Sugar is also useful preservative to preserve the food item. Jams, jelly and spices are preserved by sugar. Sugar reduces the moisture content which inhibits the growth of bacteria which spoil food. So sugar reduces the moisture in the food item. Reduction of moisture inhibits the growth of bacteria in the food item. Preservation by oil and vinegar. Use of oil and vinegar prevents spoilage of pickles because bacteria cannot live in such an environment. Vegetables, fruit, fish and meat are preserved by this method using oil and vinegar. Hot and cold treatment to preserve the food item. Pasteurization is a process for preservation of milk. Milk is heated at about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds to kill the bacteria present in it and cooling it quickly to 10 degrees Celsius to prevent the remaining bacteria from growing. So suddenly heating and suddenly cooling, this process is known as the pasteurization method. In this method, milk firstly heated at about 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds and suddenly cooled to 10 degrees Celsius. So increasing temperature and decreasing temperature help to prevent the growth of microorganisms because microorganism does not grow in hot condition and in cold condition. This milk is then stored in sterilized bottles or pouches in cold places. Sterilized bottles means they are completely disinfected by using technique and milk is stored in this type of the bottles and pouches. This method was invented by Louis Pasteur in 1862. Storage and packing. These methods are also important for the preservation of food for longer time. These days, dry fruits and even vegetables are also in sealed airtight packets to prevent the attack of microbes. Airtight packets, it means the microorganisms are not entered in this type of the pouches or packet. So these food items can preserve for a longer time. We already learned in previous class how nitrogen fits from atmosphere into the soil in the form of nitrates. This process carried out through the different microorganisms. Example of this bacteria is the rhizobium. So our atmosphere contains 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen and 1% other gases like carbon dioxide, argon, etc. Nitrogen is one of the essential constituents of all living organisms. The atmospheric nitrogen cannot be taken directly by plants and animals. It has to be converted into nitrates. The conversion of nitrogen into nitrates is known as a nitrogen fixation. Let's see nitrogen cycle. Atmosphere has 78% nitrogen. Bacteria and blue-green algae present in the soil fix nitrogen from the atmosphere. Bacteria turns nitrogen into nitrogenous compound like nitrates, and these nitrates are fixed in the soil. So compound of nitrogen in the form of nitrate fixed in the soil with the help of bacteria. Examples of these bacteria are rhizobium and azotobacter. Another method, during lightning, atmospheric nitrogen fixed in the soil. Nitrogen from the soil takes plant for protein synthesis. So by two methods, atmospheric nitrogen fixed in the soil in the form of nitrates. This nitrogen present in form of nitrates, plants take these nitrates for protein synthesis. Nitrogen is the main component of proteins. Plants eat as a food and nitrates present in plant transfer into the animal body. So nitrogen present in plant body transferred into the animal body. Nitrogenous waste product from excretion of animals and death of the animals again mix into the soil. So the nitrogen present in the soil taken by plants. Plants are the food for animals. Nitrogen transferred into the animal body. Waste of animals and dead bodies of animals decomposed by microorganisms, and this nitrogen again mixed into the soil in simple form. Bacteria present in soil turns compounds of nitrogens into nitrogen gases and help maintain the nitrogen level in the atmosphere. So this atmospheric nitrogen again mixed in the atmosphere through this cycle. Atmospheric nitrogen fixed by microorganism or during lightning in the form of nitrogenous compound nitrates. This nitrogenous compound nitrates taken by plants for protein synthesis. Plants are food for animals. After the death and excretion of the waste material of the animals, this nitrogen again mixed in the soil. This waste material of the plants and animals are decomposed by microorganisms, and finally nitrogen gas mixed in the atmosphere. So nitrogen level automatically maintained in the nitrogen cycle. This is the nitrogen cycle. In this cycle, atmospheric nitrogen fixed in the form of nitrates, and again this nitrogen released in the air in the form of nitrogen gas.